Welcome to Real Girl Talk. I am your host, Sherry Ricard. I empower women to stand in their purpose, to succeed despite the odds stacked against them, and to live their life knowing they're enough and worthy. Join me each week for powerful messages and interviews that will inspire you to create the life that you want. Now let's go. Hello there, my friends. It's Sherry Ricard, and I'm glad to have you back listening to the podcast, Real Girl Talk, and thank you for being here. I have a special guest with us today. Her name is Laurie Nicoll, and she is the founder and CEO of Stemulation Skincare. Now, I know a lot of us have our little specialties on skincare and things that we want to stick to, but you really need to hear her story, and you need to hear about this research because actually, Laurie has a unique, groundbreaking stem cell research that she did to formulate her skincare. And I met Laurie, I guess it's probably been about a month ago, Laurie, is that right? And I was really touched by her story, and I want you guys to hear it, and I want you to hear about her skincare. And we also have something really, really cool, a gift to offer you at the very end of the show. So make sure that you stay on and listen so you can get that code and that gift that Laurie has to offer. Thank you, Laurie, for being here.
Thank you for having me, Sherry.
I was really, really touched by your story. And I want, all of us, all of us have something in our past, some type of pain, and some of us can use that and we can gain power from it, and some of us let it overtake us. Mm-hmm. And one thing that I talk about in all of my speaking and my books is the empowerment of women to be able to empower each other, as well as to be able to take our pains, tragedies, and setbacks in our life and reformulate those and actually use those for the betterment of ourselves, which in fact, then we can better others by telling our story. So I want you to start off with just telling our listeners a little bit about the story on why skincare. Where did this come from and how did it start?
It started, I guess, at birth because I was born with a deficiency in my body's ability to produce vitamin A and D. And what that did is it caused my skin to be extremely dry and sensitive and ultimately prematurely aging. But I didn't know that. I mean, my mother started dragging me to the dermatologist at the age of 3. And back in the day, we didn't have cool tanning beds, but they treated it with light. And so they would stick me in literally a closet lined with aluminum foil and ultraviolet lights, strip me down to my undies, put goggles on me, and tell me to stand in there and not touch the walls because I'd get burned.
Wow.
It was a little traumatic. I mean, anyone that's put a child on, time out for 3 minutes knows that, 5 minutes is a long time, especially for a toddler. So that didn't work out too well. And they tried all kinds of things, ointments, salves, salt baths, you name it. As I got older, I was able to cocktail things together to treat my skin because they did find some salves, but they were sticky and tacky and smelled like medicine. Mm-hmm. So I didn't know I was being prophetic at the time about my future, but I would take my medication and I'd whip it up with my favorite lotion or fragrance or something to get it to a consistency that was nice, like my girlfriends had. And this was young teens. And I guess the why is really because through all that drama, I really had this embarrassment of how my skin looked. My hands were small and wrinkly. And, I think I tell the story about being in junior high and, I had just moved there. I was a new kid in school. In junior high, you just are awkward. You're
right.
Big, your feet are too big.
Right.
All over the place.
Yeah.
So in is just really important, and you try really hard, and when you're new, it's even harder. Well, I had made it up to the cool kids on the quad, and I was standing with a group of people, and this handsome, stud, and he's probably, 13, 14 years old, 6 foot, blonde hair, blue eyes. He's the star of the football team.
Yeah.
Comes up, puts his arm around me, and he says, "My little Laurie." And I'm thinking to myself, wow, I've been accepted. I'm part of the group. And about that time, he grabs my hand and he holds it up in front of everybody. And my heart sank. He says, I met my grandma, Laurie. Did you bring your walker with you today? And as I melted into the asphalt, I went away with tears in my eyes and would be afraid to reach out and shake hands or greet somebody because I felt this humiliation about my skin. Well, fast forward, many years, I had a successful career in the mortgage banking industry, and we all kind of know what happened to that in 2007.
Right.
And by the grace of God, I ended up working for a stem cell research company. And, I was in business development, but I had the opportunity to work with doctors and scientists from around the world that had been studying stem cells. And, they're growing heart valves and tracheas and, doing amazing things with, organ development. And, skin's the largest organ of the body. So I'm like,
right.
You grow skin? They're like, yes, of course. Well, they, of course, fluffed me off. And because what they were referencing is, growing skin in a petri dish and skin grafting and things that we've been doing forever. But I set out on a quest in 2008, which took about 2 years. We went to a group of doctors and scientists. I was fortunate to live in Southern California at the time. It was adjacent to the Bill and Susan Gross Stem Cell Research Center at UCI, and had the privilege of meeting some doctors there, and jumped on the bandwagon with me and agreed to do some research with me. And we realized that it wasn't the mechanism of action that was the important thing, that was stimulating our healthy cells how to respond. We went through all kinds of research looking at different type of stem cell sources. Why do you just not use skin stem cells? Well, because it's only skin. We settled on mesenchymal stem cells, which is actually bone marrow stem cells, because it's a pluripotent cell and it can become skin, bone, tissue, and blood. That's why we use them for leukemia patients. We do 40,000 stem cell transplants every single day in the United States. We just call them bone marrow transplants. So we've actually been using this science for quite some time. But we settled on that source because the growth factors and the cytokines from stem cells then stimulate the activity of our healthy cells.
Right.
And that's the messaging molecule that tell our cells how to respond. So if you have a trauma, you cut your finger. Perfect example is if you're little and you fall off the slide or the swing set and you skin your knee, the next day you probably have a scab, and by Friday it's gone.
Right.
A few days later. But as an adult, you can have a paper cut, and a week later you're touching your finger going, gosh, why is that still tender? The difference is when you're in your youth and your body is growing and growing to adulthood, you have a plethora of stem cells that are available, and they're there on the site encouraging your skin to reproduce skin, tissue, blood, clot, do the things they need to. But as we mature, we have fewer and fewer of them because they were used in our youth. By the time we reach the age of 50, we have roughly around 10% of what we were born with.
Right.
So really reserved for trauma. But what we did was we realized that particular cell source was the ideal source. It's the EMT of the body, the emergency medical team. And that allowed us the privilege of then looking at those cells. We started utilizing this cutting edge technology back in 2010 when we came to market. Today, we've actually advanced that a step further as we've had those conditioned media cultures analyzed, and we recognized that we were able to identify specific growth factors. So now we're able to use bioidentical synthetic growth factors that are even more, and because they're specific to the need. And that's kind of where we've come from. We're sold here in the United States through doctors and estheticians and spas, and also in Canada. And we are available online. And that's really our source. My why is to save somebody that moment that I had. My dear friend held my hand up in front of everyone, and I crumbled away.
I find it fascinating too, because I mean, I know, I have a medical background. I've been a nurse for many years, even though I haven't practiced bedside nursing in over 13 years. I'm in the medical business industry of it. And I spend a lot of my time speaking as well to women and empowering women for different reasons. And I have my story as well. But what I find fascinating in the medical aspect of it is, we think about, well, you're young. How many times do we hear, well, you're young, so you're going to heal really quickly. Mm-hmm. Or you're young, so you're going to get through this quickly. Or you're young, so you're going to lose weight easily. So in fact, the older that we get, it's not just the metabolism and the things that we think of when we're younger. Our skin and our skin cells, those stem cells rather, they have the same situation or the same scenario as the cells that are deep within in our organs in our bodies. So how do hormones take a place here? Because I know with hormones, you're going to have a lot of adjustments in your body. And I know we lose our collagen as we get older, and that has a lot to do with our hormones. So how can we take this skincare and fight against the hormones? Or do we have to use some balance in hormones in order to get the exact unique way that we want to get our skin?
Well, I think they're both very credible aspects of how to treat and deal with aging skin.
Right.
First of all, it depends on how much adjustment you need in your hormone or hormone imbalance. And I am not a doctor by any stretch of the imagination. So if you're having a lot of problems, I would say seek out some medical advice in that area, because it certainly has helped me.
Yeah.
And I know that when we're going through and we're creating our products and formulating, we are formulating with the fact that our body responds as it sheds skin. It's the simplest way to put it. So if you listen to people, you listen in the skin care industry, you talk about cell turnover. You go to your esthetician and she does dermaplaning. She's removing the dead skin. All of that is to stimulate the replacement of new healthy tissue.
Right.
It happens in two ways, mainly by desiccation. So you're going to break down the skin cell and exfoliate it away. And what you're doing is you're encouraging the skin to then respond. Mm-hmm. Just like if you skinned your knee and you have to have a scab, your body is encouraged to respond to that trauma. It's a very minor trauma, but it's still considered a trauma. And it's encouraging a behavior that the skin would naturally do in our youth. The cell turnover is typically for an infant. Every cell in their body turns over in 7 days.
Okay.
That's how fresh and plentiful the stem cells and they are in their youth. But as we reach maturity, a normal cell cycle is about 7 to 10 weeks. If you're compromised with hormones, with dry skin, with an illness, with anything like that, that's impeding the body's ability to slough skin naturally in that process and regenerate new tissue, then you're going to slow it down. So stimulation is based off the fact that the first thing we want to do is nurture and feed the skin. And that's what these growth factors do. It's just the same as if you were taking a multivitamin.
Right.
And your body is deficient in certain minerals and nutrients. Your body takes what it needs and discards the rest. Well, broad spectrum growth factors like this, that's exactly what we're doing. The body takes what it needs and discards the rest. If your listeners then have a chance to go to our website and take a look at the before and after pictures, you'll see that the traumatic effects on people with acne, myself with extremely dry skin, with rosacea or redness in the skin. Now, why would this work for the same for all these different conditions? It's because we're feeding the skin nutrients that are naturally present and the body is responding to what it's in need of. But in order to make that possible, we go through an exfoliation process. So a lot of our products are lactic acid based. So for example, our boost cream is a night cream. It's a very gentle exfoliant. and it helps to promote the cell turnover. It basically loosens up that dead skin. We have great scrubs. We have Nitty Gritty, which is has a higher density of pumice or pulp. And then we have our daily microderm. Both, I use Nitty Gritty every day. I'm dry, I need the help. I use it every day in the shower. But it gets rid of that, and that helps to allow the penetration of the serums, whatever serum that you're using, to do its job. Because simply by putting water on the skin, we change the pH of the skin and create a skin barrier. So we want to keep those pathways open. We want to try and rebalance our skin back to a neutral pH so it will absorb and respond better to any treatment.
Okay, so after so take me through the process of what should we be doing? Let's go to stimulation and talk about your products. What should we be doing, especially women in their 40s, 50s, plus up, or even those in your 30s, because, your hormones change when you start having children, and those are usually our childbearing, or for the majority of us, our childbearing years. What should we be doing at night, and what should we be doing in the morning?
Everyone, the first thing I say is, if you really want to protect your eye area, which is your, the windows to your soul, as they say, right? And we're always worried about our eyes first. Well, the first thing is, please don't go to sleep with makeup on. It's one of the worst things you can do. So
guilty.
We all get lazy. I mean, I'm not calling anybody out here. I'm bad about it too. But I really, since I've learned so much now about the skin, I just adamantly take off my eye makeup, even if I don't do anything else. But don't go to sleep with your eye makeup on. That's the first thing. Then I know a lot of people in the past, people have looked at toners as an upsell. Oh, at the beauty counter. Oh, it's an upsell, an add-on. Oh, it just makes you feel refreshed. Well, maybe, but not for us. Our toner, it's an AHA, it's an alpha hydroxy balancing toner. And the whole design of this product is to bring your pH back to neutral, so that the next step is treatment. So then you're going to apply any of your serums, and that, after you've toned and balanced your pH, by then doing your treatments after that, allows the skin to absorb it and get a better response from it. So, I mean, you're going to spend the money for a good quality serum. Make sure it's working. So
right.
Do what you can to allow that. And then it's your moisturizers. In the mornings, we have one, it's called Drench Daily Hydration, which original formula, it has a lot of good stuff in it. It's loaded up. It's pretty much a thick serum is what it is. Because I started this by calling it the change. that was where it was on the drawing board, was to address hormonal skin and the change in the skin as we change in our hormones and change of life. But I think that Drench is a better name.
I like that.
And then at nighttime, again, cleanse, tone, serum, and then we have Boost, which is the lactic acid night cream that helps to lift the tissue, allow it for exfoliant. We use our scrubs every morning in the shower, start the day fresh. It's really simple. We have a very concise line. And quite honestly, if you love your cleanser, or you love this, you love that, that's great. Our serum, our flagship serum, which is the Stemulation facial serum, that is like your multivitamin. Like I said, it's so nutritious for the skin. If you just added that to your regimen or your routine, it would make a world of difference. I know I'm really passionate about this because it literally changed my life.
Well, your skin is beautiful. It is.
Thank you.
That's one thing that when I met you, it caught my attention. And then when you said that you were in the skincare industry, I wasn't surprised, because your skin is very beautiful. And I'm excited about your products, Laurie. I really am. The samples that you gave me, I loved, and I'm out, by the way. So
Christmas is around the corner.
I know, I'm out of samples, Laurie. But I tell everyone, because you have something really special. You have a gift for just the Real Girl Talk listeners, and also the Empowerment is Beauty on my social media. I'm going to put it there for all the Empowerment is Beauty and Real Girl Talk fans and followers. Laurie has something for you, but tell us where we can find you, and then tell us about the gift that you have for the listeners.
Okay. Well, you can find us at www.stemulation.com. STEM as in stem cell. Our special for our group here is we're offering 25% off. So the code is RealGirl25, and you get 25% off. And we're going to give you a little special gift with purchase, which is a travel size of our nitty gritty face and body polish. So.
Oh, exciting. All right. So tell everybody, what is that promo code one more time?
RealGirl25.
RealGirl25 to get 25% off. Now, it is only good until Sunday at midnight. So you have to get on your stemulation.com and get your products ordered. And it's just an investment in ourselves. I say that we invest in ourselves because I am not growing old gracefully. I don't care about anybody's opinion about that. If you take offense and you think I need to let it go naturally, you go ahead and do your thing.
No.
Because I'm not.
We are very adamant about the fact, well, first of all, I hate the nomenclature of, anti-aging, because that's just not possible. So we really base our whole philosophy on vibrant, beautiful skin at every age. So
I love that.
You want to be your best at every stage in your life and just look like your skin is alive. That's right. The whole.
When I'm 60, I want to look 30.
I want to look like an amazing 60. Thank you very much.
That's right. I want to look amazing. They'll think that I'm 30 when I'm 60. That makes me a winner. Thank you, Laurie. I appreciate it so much. And guys, don't forget to go to her website, stemulation.com. You can also follow her on Instagram at Stemulation. And this is Laurie Nicoll. She is the CEO and founder of Stemulation Skincare. Thank you, Laurie, so much. I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate you giving all this great advice to the listeners. Before we go off, I do want to make an announcement. I'm going to keep talking about the Create Your Life a Vision Board workshop. So make sure that you go to sherryricard.com. You can go to Empowerment is Beauty, Instagram and Facebook, and get your Eventbrite ticket. They're on sale now. It is Saturday, January 19th. And tickets are selling, and they're selling quickly. So we have about, I think, 9 or 10 seats left, and that's it. You can get it at the early bird price. It's discounted for $45 until December 21st, and then it does go up $10. So make sure you take advantage of the early bird. And until next week, I want you to make sure you're keeping your encouragement tank full. Keep your faith in God and step out of your comfort zone and do something you've never done before. See you then. God bless.